Good morning and welcome back to the Daily Thread. So I actually slept with my parents in Yom Kippur because I davened by a shul nearby.
Oh, that was you? Oh, okay.
Hamavak Hashem. And I had a little bit of a situation 6 minutes before Kol Nidre.
Yeah, what happened?
I had purchased a new kittel, or my brother-in-law purchased a new kittel for me because I misplaced my kittel previously.
So the story changes. I thought the way I heard the story is you went into the store, you asked for a medium, and you came back with a extra large.
So I asked my brother-in-law to get me a medium.
Oh,
and he did get me a medium.
Oh, that was a medium?
It was a medium. And
long.
I put on the kittel like 4 minutes before Kol Nidre.
That's good timing, yes.
And I looked like a Shabbos Abba in playgroup.
Yeah, I thought you were the Shabbos Abba this week.
It looked ridiculous. It looked like I was, I don't know. How bad did it look?
Well,
everyone was trying to play it down and calm me down.
Yeah.
But how bad did it actually look?
Well, listen, if you look at it this way, if you have a growth spurt, how old are you, 27? If you have a growth spurt, then it'll fit just fine. But otherwise, I think you need a new one for the next time you're going to use it. When's the next time you're going to use it? Pesach, right?
No, Chabad doesn't wear kittels on Pesach. You know that.
Yeah, but if you want to, so you don't get your shirt dirty.
You wear a kittel on Pesach?
I wear, listen.
Not
I
loyal.
wear
Not
kittel,
loyal.
I don't want to get my shirt dirty, so I wear a kittel on Pesach.
So use
what do
it
you
as
think a doctor wears a white coat for? So everyone should know he's a doctor?
Okay.
He doesn't want to get his clothes dirty.
They go to medical school for 8 years to get the white coat. That's why they wear the white coat.
Listen, you could sell ice cream and get a white coat, too.
It's true. It's also a lot cheaper.
Or you could be a butcher. You could be a mashgiach in a butcher shop.
You hear that, kids?
Wear a white coat.
You hear that, kids? You could just sell ice cream and get the white coat. So, Yom Kippur reflections. Long day. But you know what? It was a shorter day than generally it is. Because it's later in the year.
A half hour shorter. As a matter of fact, for the first time in a very long time, usually in Eretz Yisrael, they change the clock before Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
I looked at this man, and usually the hour's almost the fast ends almost an hour earlier in Israel than it does here in New York. And by us it ended at 7:11 was this man officially yesterday.
7:11?
7:11 p.m.
I thought it was 7:15.
No, it was 7:11 p.m. And in Eretz Yisrael it was 7:21 p.m.
Oh wow!
So much for that.
I know, but there's a moment where you're sitting in shul and it's around, you're hitting that 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock wall, complete wall, and you're thinking, oh wow, someone sitting next to me, his name is Dovi Mayer, he's from Australia. He said, in Australia, it's over already.
Yeah, listen,
I botched that accent.
Two things I'd say about yesterday. It was a difficult day, number one. Number two, it's supposed to be a difficult day.
Is it?
So it was a good day. Yes, you're supposed to, I don't want to say the proper translation, not to torture yourself, but it's supposed to be dramatic.
Listen, for the first time in my life, there was a moment where I davened by Kalmavak and Rabbi Yossi Zakatinsky, and there was a moment before going to Mincha where I was planning on maybe going to a different shul for Mincha and Ila, because I know that maybe the shul I daven in will go a little bit over time. Right. I don't know if I can handle that, but I decided I'm going to go push myself and go there for an Ila. And it was
overtime.
It was the most beautiful.
Yeah,
it was the most beautiful thing, and I'll show a video right now for those who are watching. If you're listening, you'll hear it. And in that video, you kind of just see, what took place there, how the videos were taken. KMH consists of, I don't know, maybe like 30 Hatzalah members who have their phones on them. And once it's after the Zman, they...
once after the Zman, it's Yom Kippur, and they just turn the phones on.
Yom Kippur is over, so... They took some videos. KMH might be the only shul in the world that they need to make an announcement. C. Mandel told this to me. They might need to make an announcement not to use your phones during the Ila.
Well, if you have to use your phone,
you have to use it. You have to use it.
You have to use it, like you said. There's 30 Hatzalah members.
There is, and they
really shouldn't be concentrated all in one place like that. They should be scattered around the community.
There are definitely shuls that don't have members or enough members.
By the way, I read last night that United Hatzalah in Eretz Yisrael treated 2,700 people over Yom Kippur.
Is that
at different places?
Wow.
different things. It's a big country. You talk about 9 million Jews.
That's wild.
Here in the 5 towns, only it looks like there's 9 million Jews, but it's really not.
That's wild. One person remarked to me, I was speaking to an Atzal member on Yom Kippur, and he told me, it's been Baruch Hashem pretty quiet, but usually 3 to 6 p.m. on Yom Kippur is when, it gets a little bit, the call volume gets a little higher.
Well, you had that in Israel, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You had it with Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Yes.
It's on your list of things to bring up, I think.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, who was fasting, and he was in the Great Synagogue.
Right.
And he was taken to Shaarei Tzedek Hospital complaining with chest pains.
Right.
As we see an El Al flight right over there in the distance.
You see one? Oh, you could see that's El Al?
I'm pretty sure I can see that's El Al.
Wow, I can't see that. I mean, I see the plane, but I don't see the El Al insignia. But I think planes are going to be leaving every couple of hours today. But Netanyahu is fine.
He's out of the hospital, but he was fasting, and like the rest of us, and he's 72 years old.
Yeah, he is 72. I think he's been 72 for a while.
A lot of life experience, a lot of stress.
Listen, when you get older, I think that in the course of Yom Kippur, I think it's, if you don't know your body better, you could imagine you having a heart attack about 4 or 5 times.
Oh yeah, is that what happens?
in the course of the day.
Is that what happens at a certain age?
No, it's just you're used to certain things. You have to, first of all, you have to have your coffee in the morning, and you don't have coffee in the morning.
Right.
That manifests itself in a lot of different types of discomforts. Anyway, you're talking about the El Al flight that we saw over there in this beautiful blue sky today for the first time in 5 days.
Baruch Hashem.
Whew. But we had Hurricane Ian here, I think, longer than Florida.
I think we had a real Hurricane Ian moment. Before we get on to the next topic, I walked out of the house heading to Mincha Yom Kippur, and I felt like, first of all, it was so like auspicious, because as we're laning Mafter Yonah, the skies opened up, and it's cold outside, and it's thundering and lightning, and it's like, what is going on here? And my kittel became like see-through because it got soaked in my socks because I was wearing slides.
No one's wearing leather shoes. Everyone's wearing these cloth-made shoes. The water goes right through.
A little bit of a disaster.
You step in one puddle and you don't even get halfway dry until way after Ma'ariv.
Yeah, it was the logistics weren't good. They weren't good, but we pulled through.
Like you said, you're talking about the El Al flight over there in the distance that you saw a few seconds ago. I know today flights are leaving every 2 hours.
Every 2 hours
to Israel.
Wow.
El Al flights. There's also United's going, Delta's going, American is going.
That's more than what usually happens. Usually, I feel like there's like 4 flights a day.
Well, I visited the El Al headquarters. It's under the new ownership, of Kenny Rosenberg for a couple of years now.
Good old Kenny.
And did you have him on here?
I didn't. On Meaningful People, but God willing. Maybe
we should appeal to him if he's listening, or any of his people are listening, to
definitely should
put him in touch with Nachi Nachi Gordon. What's your email address?
Oh, we're giving out you can do Nachi at meaningfulminute.org. Listen, it's just a matter of time until the Daily Thread is on El Al flights.
Yes,
on the entertainment system.
I think so. We could discuss the programming on the El Al flights. I did fly El Al early July, and anyway, a year ago, I'll tell you about the programming some other time.
Yeah.
About a year ago, I was at the El Al headquarters at Ben Gurion Airport. They have beautiful offices, beautiful executive offices. So anyway, I got to know some of the hierarchy, and one of them used to live here in Cedarhurst, actually. Mm-hmm. He worked for Kenny Rosenberg in another capacity previous to him buying El Al. His name is Omri Cohn. He lived in one of those streets there in Cedarhurst. I texted him. I said to him, "What is the latest flight?" Because El Al's not flying on Shabbos and Yom Tov. I said, "What is the latest flight leaving from New York to get there on time for Sukkot?" And he told me that this Saturday night there's a flight from JFK at 10:45 p.m. So according to my calculation,
what time does that get there?
It's a 10.5-hour flight. You should be landing with the 7-hour differential. You should be landing there at 4:15 p.m.
That is really cutting it close.
Okay. And
so you're talking about a 6 p.m. candlelighting.
Yom Tov is about 6 to 6:30 somewhere. I'm not sure what
Yerushalayim, it's not earlier.
Maybe you could look it up when you have a chance. Post it up here. Time.
Right over here.
Right over here. What time candlelighting is? You can insert it, into the
Not
thing.
For the people who are listening, for the people who are watching.
Right. It's between 6 and 6:30. So you get to Ben Gurion at 4:15.
You gotta get your luggage.
You probably, if you're on that flight, either you're not observing Yom Tov, Number one, there's plenty of Israelis in the United States.
I know, but so the question the question begs itself is, how many from Jews are hopping on that last flight, 10:45 p.m.?
You know what?
And why?
I was thinking this morning, maybe you and I should go to the airport Saturday night to Terminal 4, to El Al. You bring your camera. Let's take a look. Let's see who's going. You could conceivably walk into your apartment. If you're going to a hotel, it's less of a problem.
Right. You just
the only variable here is,
it takes time to get through border control, get through the customs.
You could be assured that the flight's going to leave on time. Because the second the flight takes off, you know exactly what time you're landing. There's no traffic. There's no double parked cars like on Central Avenue. Yeah. You know that exactly what time you're going to be landing in Ben Gurion.
I don't know.
And if you don't have luggage,
who's going to Israel without luggage for Sukkot?
Somebody that maybe lives there.
And has luggage there already.
I don't know. Has an apartment there and has all their stuff there. Or I don't know. The luggage people got to really step it up, I guess, to get your luggage out. But you conceivably could walk in to your hotel or your home, I would say, depending on where you live. To get to Bnei Brak from Ben Gurion is like 20 minutes.
10:40. So, okay, so maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll head to JFK on Saturday night.
Saturday night, 10:45 p.m. They're gonna board.
Well, that's when the flight leaves.
Well, they're gonna board 10. Let's go at 9. Can you do it? Can you make it this Saturday night?
Maybe we'll give our listeners an update.
Look at this. You'll have a whole show.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to do this one day.
And just if you're curious how this is gonna end up, you can go ahead and follow Meaningful Minute on Instagram and on WhatsApp status. That's 516-668-7800. You can just send a message on WhatsApp saying subscribe. You'll see the WhatsApp status, and you'll see whether or not we make it to...
You know what? You could even show up at the airport yourself. But don't show up at the airport unless you're on that flight.
Yeah. Let us go for you.
Yeah, we'll go. We'll
go ahead. We'll go for you.
No reason to leave Saturday night.
Speaking of people, flying to Israel now, and we all know a lot of people are there right now. I find it extremely stressful. I'm in Shul Yom Kippur. I'm fasting, feeling like garbage. Baruch Hashem, a good faster, but still, no one feels too good. And there's a number of people who are running home, grabbing a bite. Right. Their luggage is already packed, and they're heading to the airport and heading on a flight. I'm assuming it's a midnight flight.
Oh, yeah, probably. Well, last night it was over 7:15, 7:20.
Okay, but in a shul like where I daven, people did not get out of there before 8 p.m.
Well, you don't have to daven at KMH if you're on a flight that night.
Well, I think there are people in KMH who were heading to Israel. I know there are people in KMH who are heading to Israel last night, and they had to... I don't know. To me, there's nothing more stressful than trying to run and catch a flight.
I know you ran late, but where I daven, that congregation-based parish in Lawrence, we finished early.
I know, but again,
and we had to sing.
I think regardless,
we had to sing. And I know people like to hear about the old days at 770 Eastern Parkway. But very, very often they finished early.
In 770?
And they had to sing.
In the Rebbe's Minyan?
And they had to sing Napoleon's March until the Zman arrived.
How'd the Napoleon's March go?
Well, you play Napoleon's March. You'll find it online. I'm not going to sing it.
Why not?
It's a niggun. Ay, 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 ay. You know that?
No.
That's Napoleon's March. You could get up on Google.
Okay.
Better rendition of that. That's another thing, by the way. It's not on your list for today, but some of the niggunim,
I don't know. Again, shout out to Pinky Friedman, Joey Newcomb. Incredible davening.
Well, I wasn't there, but I'm used to the nigunim from Chabad,
from yesteryear,
from where I davened from the time I was 5 till I moved when I was 23 or 24, when I got married and moved out of Crown Heights. But those nigunim were so heartsick. And, Ki Anu Amecha, I heard the same tune 15 times yesterday.
Ki Anu Amecha.
That's the only one they know.
What's the one you know?
Ki Anu Amecha ve'ata Elokeinu la 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 la. Oh, come on.
Okay, I hear that.
What about the Duchening? Nachi, please, we're going into Sukkot. People go, yeah.
So we didn't do that. Oh, maybe yeah. What's the one? What group?
Yeah. I
feel like that's an Avremel nigga, no?
That's Duchening. That's the song they say. That's the song that was sung in the Beis HaMikdash.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure.
Can we fact check that?
You Google that, okay?
Okay, so we're gonna have to go ahead and fact check that. But
I think it precedes the existence of Google. So
I hear. No, you know what?
but no one's open. No one's open.
There are. What I love is there are a lot of
no one's
contemporary.
open to new Nigunim. I mean, not the new Nigunim, but the same ones over and over again.
First of all, people are open to new Nigunim.
I'm not.
People
faulting.
are not open to the Nigunim of maybe yesteryear, the ones that are from 30, 40 years ago that you want.
I'm not talking about nostalgia in terms of Nigunim. I'm talking about good ones versus not good ones. Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
I don't know. Where I daven, the Nigunim were amazing. Even Pinky Freeman did.
Maybe
he did. Daddy Dear from, I think it's MBD.
No, I don't know that one.
He did at the beginning of Mincha. It was beautiful.
Let me tell you something. For a lot of years, by the way, not lately, but for a lot of years, I used to go on Shmini Atzeres to Yeshiva Shayashiv.
Okay.
Where Natalie Yeager. The Rosh Yeshiva, and I was in high school with Rabbi Yeager. He was a senior in high school, or I was when I was a freshman.
Okay.
And the only time the place would get excited was when they would sing Lubavitcher Nigunim to Hallel, and the place would be jumping. Until then, it was like half asleep.
I think the most.
Now, I'm not partial. I'm not prejudiced.
I think a little bit. You're a little partial and prejudiced.
I don't think so.
I think the number one Chabad nigun that's used around the world is
Hu
Elokeinu.
Okay, yeah. The Rebbe used to introduce a new nigun by Farbrengen every Simchas Torah.
Every Simchas Torah?
Yes.
Were you there when he introduced that one?
I wasn't. I was I don't know. I think it was 1964 or 65. And my father was at the Farbrengen, and he went to Hakafis. I was too young. But my father went to Hakavas, which used to go to 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know if it was probably preceded by Farbrengen. It was that day or the next day when the Rebbe introduced the new nigun. And I remember my father sleeping on the couch because he didn't want to disturb anybody when he came in at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I went to him in the morning, and I shook him by the shoulder. I said, "Dad, what's the new nigun?" And he was like half asleep, and he said, that's the first time.
Amazing.
That's the first time I heard it.
That's a story. What did they?
That's why I'm telling it to you.
What did they sing? What did they sing before that was introduced?
I don't know. Faratsta is a nigun. I don't know. There's a Samecha. There's a lot of very famous nigun. Anyway, the point is
this segment of the podcast is for Balei Tefillah, which, by the way, I know I'm going a little out of order. My rock person of the day.
Yeah, who's that?
Balei Tefillah. Like
all Balei Tefillah?
Pinky Freeman, Joey Newcomb, the people, because honestly, it's a sacrifice. It's not easy. You know what? I walked into shul for Kol Nidre, and I think many people can relate to this. You just drank gallons of water. You tried to stuff your face as much as possible. And there are people who are getting up there to daven for 3 hours for the Yom Kippur. It's
we have
incredible.
a very by Beirish, by base Beirish. One of the main Balei Tefillah is Shmuel Lichtenstein, our rabbi friend of ours, and he davens yesterday. He davened Shacharis and Ne'ilah, and he also lanes, okay,
and blow shofar.
So he's a few feet away from me.
He's a utility player.
He's a few. He's a cleanup hitter as far as I'm concerned. But he davened yesterday. Shacharis and Ne'ilah, and then he laned. He's the Balkore also, so he laned. He davened Ne'ilah, and then after all that time, he blew the shofar at the end of the service. So I said to him last night. I texted him last night. I said, "You must be exhausted."
Yeah.
He always wrote back to me the following. He said, "No."
You go to sleep, you wake
He's
up.
Exhausted. It's exhausting.
So that's the sacrifice that I think Balei Tefillah make in general.
Well, they get paid well too.
I know.
So
hey, listen, everyone gets paid.
The guys at KMH get paid too. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I imagine, but still, it's nonetheless. It's still a sacrifice. You're sacrificing your own avodah in a way.
It's a profession. I know guys that are making $20,000 to $30,000 for davening, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Not in your shul, of course not by Beirish, but
is it inappropriate to discuss the sale of Elias?
No, did they sell them by you?
Oh yeah.
They don't sell them by us. We're like We're like
a country club.
We're like the New York Mets, privately owned.
You know, like they say, like in like Camp Hask, you go to the soda machines. You just hit any. They're all free. Just hit a soda. That's where you daven. Elias are just giving out.
Listen, I don't want to get personal, but it's a beautiful minyan that we have.
Yeah, shout out to the Fuchses, Bearish Fuchs.
It started as an outdoor minyan.
Started during COVID,
and it's one of the great things that come out of COVID. I got to tell you.
You know, Rabbi Zakatinsky spoke before Ne'ilah, and one thing he said that I had no strength before I hit another wall during Mincha, and one thing he had said is he said over a story of the Berditchever, or the Berditchev, I don't know,
Berditchev.
And he said that there was a maskil that was, he didn't believe in Amunah, B'tachan. He would go town to town and fight different Rabbanim on what they believe. And he came to the Berditchev, and he was in the waiting room, and the Berditchev was in his office, and he knew he was there. He came out of his office, and he screamed at the maskil. He said, "But maybe it's true." And he slammed the door and went back into his office. Rabbi Zakatinsky urged everyone. He said, right now, when Joey says Ashrei, when he starts Ne'ilah, the whole day Yom Kippur, you're in a special room with no Satan, with no Yitzhar. You're in a special room. But once Ashrei starts, Hashem puts you back into the room with the Satan. Why? Because you're supposed to take what you learned, the inspiration that you had, and you're supposed to use it. And he said that we're about to say Ashrei. What you need to do is scream like the Berditchev. Open the door and scream every single word, and don't even let the maskil speak. The Berditchev knew once the maskil starts speaking, then all of a sudden there's cheshbonais. And once you let the maskil in your own head start speaking, there's cheshbonais and what, this, that. Don't even let.
I saw something.
And then Joey Newcomb got up there.
Yeah.
And from the beginning, every single word was, Rabbi Zakatinsky said, yell and lose your voice. And if you feel like you're going to pass out, don't worry. We have plenty of Hatzalah members here. Yeah. Pass out. But use all you have and yell. And it was beautiful.
I saw something posted last night on the KMH WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
The Lubavitcher Rebbe, not Rabbi Zakatinsky's Farbrengen last night, but where it says that
the gates.
Rebbe said the gates.
I'll put the quote over here.
The gates in Shemayim are closing, but we're on the inside.
Yes. It's true that the gates to Shemayim close at Ne'ilah, but you are on the inside.
So I was yesterday on Yom Kippur during the break. I was reading an article in the Jerusalem Post by Stuart Weiss, who was a rabbi in Ra'anana, Israel, and it caught my attention because we were davening from 8:00 in the morning till I guess it was 2:00 in the afternoon.
Right. And
I don't have the article here, but it says, how do you know God's answering your prayers? How do you know? You're davening your heart out, you're knocking yourself out, you're fasting, you're sweating, you're crying, you're beseeching. How do you know he hears you?
Right.
What's the proof? The truth of the matter is there is no proof that God hears you. How do you know God hears you? Because your Rebbe in 7th grade told you that he hears you when you daven. So Rabbi Weiss, Stuart Weiss from Ra'anana, he says that the fact of the matter is whether Hashem hears you is a matter of amunah, okay? And the shorish of the word amunah is amen. And we're constantly repeating amen, 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 Yehei Shemei Rabbah, and so on and so forth. It's a way of hammering home and convincing ourselves, and with faith. Yeah, it's faith. It's pure faith that Hashem hears your prayers.
There's the proof.
Yeah, and then there's another thing that I was reading before Yom Kippur from Reb Nachman Kahana, who is the rabbi of the Young Israel of the Temple Mount. Believe it or not.
Okay.
The Young Israel of the Old City. Nachman Kahana is the older brother of Rabbi Meir Kahana.
Older brother.
Yes. He's in his 80s today, but I had an opportunity to interview him a couple of times in Israel. It should be a subject for another time, but he wrote about the what was the relationship between the Kadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe Rabbeinu? What was it that made him so attached to Moshe Rabbeinu? Moshe Rabbeinu was a guy that was raised in Parai's house for 20 years. He didn't go to yeshiva. He had pretty much a secular or non-religious upbringing. Okay, then he became Moshe Rabbeinu. He had to separate from his wife, Tzipporah, because of his close relationship to Kadosh Baruch Hu. He was hoping that his sons, Gershon and Eliezer, would become his successors. And he was told by Hashem, no, Yoshua is going to succeed you. So what is it that connected them to one another? And Rabbi Kahana says exactly that's what connected them so much. Great expectations and great disappointments. That's what they had in common. The Eibishter has great expectations for Klal Yisrael, but time and time again over the millennium, we disappointed him. He took us to Har Sinai. He took us out of Mitzrayim with miracles, and time and again we disappointed him by rebelling, by worshiping, other deities, and so this is what I think Rabbi Kahana is saying. To put it in a nutshell and try to simplify it on a podcast, is that they both Moshe Rabbeinu and Kadosh Baruch Hu had great expectations and great disappointments, and this is what drew them to one another.
Interesting.
Yes, I agree.
Transitioning to our next topic, Chol Hamoed, then and now.
Chol Hamoed, then and now.
Chol Hamoed is coming up. Parents, get ready. You're gonna.
It's a short one. It's a shorty. It's a shorty this year.
For people who are not fond of Chol Hamoed and the hustle and bustle and running from place to place, which is generally people over the age of 35, 40, then this year is for you because you have like a Wednesday, Thursday, then you have Shabbos, and Sunday's already a Shana Rabbah, I think. And
right, Erev Yontif again.
So it is a short Chol Hamoed, but there is still expectations. What are you going to be doing with your children? How do you manage their expectations? That's really the question.
Well, listen, you could always have something in common with Moshe Rabbeinu and Kadosh Baruch Hu and disappoint them.
Oh yeah, that works.
Then you'll be all connected.
I saw an article in Mishpach the other week from Dr. Meir Wickler, who's a psychologist, a therapist.
Right. And
he said that the first year that he went on a Chol Hamoed trip with his kids, he said, we're going to an amusement park, and they were very excited, and they went to this amusement park, and after a few hours there, they ran out of drinks. They went on a bunch of rides already. They were exhausted. Him and his wife were burnt out. They said, okay, guys, we're going home. And the kids were crying. They were kicking and screaming. And the car ride home, everyone had their face was down. And then he looked into other cars and he'd see also other kids were disappointed. So, he didn't feel like he blamed his kids. He felt like he did a mistake and he didn't manage their expectations properly. So he wanted to do an experiment. The next Chol Hamoed, which was 6 months later on Pesach at that point, another amusement park. But he told them beforehand, each one of you are getting to go on 4 rides. Mm-hmm. We are not buying any drinks. We are not buying any games. We're not buying any nosh.
Oh, that's Pesach.
No, but, we're not buying anything. 4 rides each, and then we go. And each of those kids planned which 4 rides they want to go on. And then after they got to the amusement park and the kids went on their 4 rides, him and his wife looked at each other and said, hey, you know what? It's still a little bit early. Each one of you can go on 1 more ride. And they were jumping from joy, ecstatic. Let's get each one of you 1 drink. And it's all about managing expectations when it comes to it. It doesn't matter really what you do as long as you manage the expectations of your child. If you take your kid to a baseball game and you only plan on staying to the 5th inning and they don't know that, it's not going to be fun.
Well, some yeshivas have school on Chol Hamoed.
I don't believe you.
Some of the more modern Orthodox.
I don't believe you.
Yeshivas. I think you'll find. I could be wrong, but I think Flatbush Yeshiva.
No way. Yeshiva of Flatbush?
Yeah,
I don't believe it.
I think so.
No way.
I think some of the other schools they'll teach them a good lesson.
We need someone to fact check that.
They'll teach them. If that's true, in fact, then they'll teach those kids a good lesson.
Managing expectations, big time.
They go on 1 ride.
What did we do Chol Hamoed when I was? I mean, what growing up for you? What did you do as a kid Chol Hamoed?
I don't know. It depends what time of year it came out. Nothing special.
Really?
As far as I can remember, I know. I told you about a Yankee game a couple of days ago. Which
you went to a Yankee game.
That was Chol Hamoed Pesach. Chol Hamoed Sukkos, I don't have any specific.
I think
Remember, listen, I have to tell you something. My father used to go to work on Chol Hamoed, believe it or not. Some people have to go to work on Chol
Many
Hamoed,
people do.
You know?
But your father worked for a Yiddish newspaper.
But it was a weekly newspaper. It came out every week, no matter what. It came out every week. And no, in the early days, he worked, one day we'll have to talk about the history of Yiddish newspapers in New York. The Yiddish newspapers in New York that he worked at used to publish 7 days a week, including Saturday.
The Morning Tug?
The Day Morning Journal.
The Morning Tug.
There used to be two newspapers, the Tug and the Morning Journal.
Rabbi Wawe Jacobson's father, Gershon.
And then the Tug, then they merged.
They get the name right?
Yes, one was the Tug, which means the day, and one was the Morning Journal, which is the morning journal, okay? And then they published 7 days a week. Hello? Knock, knock. Are you there listening to me?
I am.
They published Saturday also, okay?
Okay, that's interesting.
They published 7 days a week.
They weren't a Jewish publication?
It wasn't. No, it was happens to be a news in Yiddish.
That's who are they catering to?
Yiddish speaking people.
Who are not Jewish?
Yiddish? No, of course they're Jewish. They're just not necessarily Shomer Shabbos, not observant. You don't know what's going on in this country.
How many Yiddish speaking Jews are bringing
today? Nachi. You're talking about yesterday's reality and today's standards. They don't mesh well. Okay, the Yiddish speaking refugees from Europe in America came here. A lot of them may have come from Shomer Shabbos families, but when they came to America, they left all that behind. Some of the
so the fact that they spoke Yiddish had nothing to do with their level of observance.
Absolutely not.
Nowadays, I think it does reflect more level of observance.
So one of the roles my father, Rabbi Nissan Gordon, played in Jewish journalism, which he started working for in the I think in the early 40s, one of the things he negotiated was for the religious organizations to come into the paper on the condition that the paper stops publishing on Shabbos. Mm-hmm. And that's what he accomplished, and that's how it was for many decades.
Beautiful.
Until all those papers went broke. The Day Morning Journal went bankrupt, had to close. And after that, the Allgemeine Journal opened up. Do you know that the other day I was davening Shacharis by Beis Beirish, and it's an obscure location. It's in the back of someone's house. It's a beautiful shul,
really beautiful.
But it's an obscure location. The guys that come around collecting don't know about it. A few guys know about it. A guy comes in with a long gray beard. Okay, mm-hmm. He's going around collecting whatever people are giving him, $1, $2, $5, whatever it is. And I didn't have signals. I gave the guy $10. I gave him a $10.
Wow, what a kavir.
And he was very excited.
He was
very excited about it. He says he wants to shake my hand and give me a bracha. What's my name? I told him my name is Gordon. And you know what he said? He said to me, are you a relative of Nissan Gordon? I'm from Williamsburg, but I used to read him when I was a young man. So I said, yeah, then Nissan Gordon was my father. And he was like doing like a backflip. He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. So I almost felt like it was like a pre-yontif type of calling card from somewhere up there.
Saying a good yontif. Transitioning to our next topic, something that happened over yontif. Maybe you walked into Shul Yom Kippur and you heard people talking about it. Maybe not. It depends where you davened. Aaron Judge hit a 60-second home run.
On Yom Kippur night.
On Yom Kippur night, which is sort of the record-breaking home run. It's the AL leading home run, but you know what? I had a discussion with someone about this. I'm not sure where I stand, but like Barry Bonds hit over 70 home runs. Mark McGwire hit over 70 home runs. I think Sammy Sosa did. But those guys, of course, cheated. They took steroids.
They were on steroids, right?
So, but the question is, like, did the MLB wipe those clean? I don't know. Anyways, it's not a sports podcast. It's not for this platform, but the question I did have is, 38,000 people are in the stadium in Texas where the Yankees are playing. It's one of the last games of the season. Everyone's watching out for Aaron Judge to hit this record-breaking home run. The person who catches this home run ball, it's worth well over $2 million. And the ball goes to left field to the first row, and a guy with a baseball glove caught the ball. Of course, security escorted him out right away because we don't want any issues.
Right.
And now he's getting offers of $2 million, $3 million. He can get up to $6 million for this baseball that he caught. It happens to be that this person who caught the ball manages a $197 billion hedge fund. So I don't think he really is, needs the money as much as maybe other people in that area who could have caught the ball. But the question, was in my head, what would happen if a Jewish person with a yarmulke caught this baseball?
Well, he probably was not going to be in Texas Stadium on Yom Kippur night.
It's true, but what if the game was on Chol Hamoed, and you have Shmuley Schwartz from Flatbush, who's in Texas for Yontif, catches this ball.
He couldn't have caught it because he would have had a snack in his hands.
And you would have had a hot dog, you're saying?
Or a cup of water, a cup of soda with something from the kosher stand.
But just dream with me for a second. He caught the ball.
Well, first of all, I think you misread the story because I saw it also this morning in the Post.
I read it online. So
I think it was a non-Jewish guy.
It wasn't Jewish who caught it. I didn't say he was Jewish.
The hedge fund wants to buy it from him for $2 million.
No. He managed it. I believe I saw. No, anyway. There was another memorabilia company that wants to buy it for him for $2 million.
Yeah.
He so happens to manage a hedge fund worth $197 billion.
I didn't catch that, but I did catch that the question was discussed this morning on Fox News. What's the tax rate on that? It's a 37% tax rate.
On memorabilia?
It's income. If he makes $2 million, this guy could have caught
even
the
in
ball.
Texas?
In the United States of America, federal taxes.
On anything you sell? What does that mean, 37% tax?
At that income rate,
oh my gosh,
it's 37%.
You know what? I don't know what you should do. What would you do?
That's a lot of money. That's $700,000 in taxes. So he walks away with $1.3 million.
I think you should do it in cash, maybe, and I think you should sell it in cash.
Well, I'm just saying.
Hope the IRS isn't listening.
You should go to what? You go to Lakewood and sell it for cash. Somewhere?
Maybe do it by the Ira Minenshuk. What would you do if you caught the ball?
What would I do? I don't know. I would sell it for the $2 million probably.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You just here, $2 million. Have a good day.
What do I need? First of all, I have baseballs at home, that are worth a lot of money.
I
have one signed by Hank Aaron.
So Hank Aaron, who
do you
holds
have that ball?
I think your son, my brother Dovey. I think you had 2 baseballs signed by Hank Aaron, and Dovey traded it for a pack of Twizzlers one day in school.
No, not Twizzlers, for another baseball signed by a guy that was cut right away.
Why would he do that? Why would he do that?
The guy had a career in single A ball. I don't remember the guy's name.
Why would he do that?
I don't know. Maybe he thought the guy had a good potential for the future.
That didn't pan out.
But I have one Hank Aaron ball, and I don't know what it's worth. We're waiting for Hank Aaron to die, which he did last year, by the way.
You still have it?
Yeah, sure.
You got to really find it.
I'm sure your mother knows where it is.
I'm sure she does.
I used to have a lot of baseball cards that would have been worth a lot of money.
Yeah, but
of course, once I left the house, once I got married and left, and I had all these boxes of baseball cards, my mother threw them all out. And that's why baseball cards are worth so much money, because they're rare.
Because mothers throw them out.
Everyone's mother threw them out.
Exactly.
So if everyone's mother would have thrown them out, everybody would have a Mickey Mantle card.
Sure.
I see cards in the newspaper. Mickey Mantle, that card, I see it's worth today, $18,000. I had that card. I know I had that card.
Well,
I remember that card.
That's why A.B. Romberg wrote the song about Joe DiMaggio,
But
rebuilt the yeshiva.
All the Jewish mothers throw out their kids' baseball cards.
The lesson to the Jewish moms, please.
They can't wait to throw the cards out.
Please stop throwing out the baseball cards. So I wonder, and you're saying you would sell it for $2 million. Listener, what do you think? You can comment on YouTube. You could also send us a message on WhatsApp, 516-668-7800. If you have any submissions of videos that you want to be featured over Chol Hamoed, Sukkah stuff, go ahead and send us a video. We'll feature it here in the Daily Thread.
Got a new number? Got a new number?
It's one of the Meaningful Minute phones.
668?
516-668-7800, or you might be subscribed already to 516-668-3725. We have 2 different lines because Baruch Hashem, there's a lot of people subscribed.
Right.
So just winding down this episode, we have a couple of news stories that are worth mentioning. In Hanover, in Germany, nach dem in einer Synagogue in Hanover, am höchsten, I'm reading it in Yiddish right now. I don't know why. Let me just get to the English part of the website. A broken window interrupted the final moments of Yom Kippur services in Hanover, Germany, unsettling a Jewish community on edge because of prior attacks during the holiday. It was unclear late Wednesday exactly what had happened at the Orthodox synagogue in the northern part of Germany. Officials are investigating. No one was hurt in the incident. Come on. You're in Germany. It's Kolnid. It's Yom Kippur. People are throwing rocks to your window. I don't know. It's like, what is going on?
Well, listen, the criminality is widespread and growing.
If any of our, if let's say Bubby, my grandmother, who's kind of in her 90s, who grew up in Poland and survived the war, if she were to hear that there's Jews davening in a shul in Germany and someone came and broke a window, she would say, "Get out of there now." Like leave.
Well, I don't know. I don't know who's living in Hanover, Germany. I doubt if it's natives. It's probably people that moved from other countries. A lot of Russian Jews didn't want to go to Israel. They went to Germany, because there was opportunities there.
I don't know.
They don't want to deal with the restrictions. I don't know halakhically whether they're Jewish or not. They didn't want to have to deal with that struggle. So there's tens of thousands of Jews that have Russian roots that are living in Germany today. Plus, of course, people of German ancestry that are there and from other countries too.
I don't know. It scares me a little bit, but I hear what you're saying. And in other news, there is someone to say Tehillim for. There is a story about that I see on Yeshiva World. Someone who's severely injured in the Meron tragedy a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
He contracted COVID. Lazar Berger, who is 13 years old, who's the youngest injured victim in Meron, was transferred to a hospital where a team of doctors fought for his life in the trauma room and succeeded in stabilizing him after Meron. However, he still can't breathe on his own, and he just contracted COVID. His name to daven for is Elazar ben Romach. It's Raumah. And people should daven for him. You should say some Tehillim.
Shav refuah shlema.
Yeah. And that is really all the stories I have for today. I think we're going to go ahead and try to pump out another episode for Friday morning, even though we generally don't. But it's just a crazy schedule. Yontif, Shabbos, everything. Thank you so much for listening to this daily thread. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, I think that's it for today. It's
longer episode for sure. I don't know how long it's run, but it's definitely a longer episode today.
Okay,
we had to cover a lot. That's just the nature of the biz.
There's a lot more. That's how it works with ideas. Ideas always create and give birth to other ideas, especially when you're having a conversation with somebody.
Absolutely. So those who are listening, make sure to like this video on YouTube. Leave a comment. We'd love to hear what you think.
You told me that this is of all the rated Jewish
it was
podcasts.
it was number one last week.
Spotify is how many are being rated?
Hundreds.
So how do we manage after 4 episodes to be number one?
The
other one's that good?
I don't know. I think the Meaningful Minute ones are very good.
Yeah,
meaningful
why
people.
Why is this one number one?
I think it's like a daily thing. People,
the other ones aren't daily?
No, I don't think there's any other. I don't know of any other Jewish daily podcast. I think there is maybe one that does like daily Jewish thought.
Is that why you wanted to do a daily?
I think that there's value in speaking about the things that are happening each day in the Jewish world.
Listen, every day is very valuable.
Exactly.
You have to celebrate
Hayom Haras Olam
every day.
Yeah, that's the story. Anyways, make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a rating on Apple, Spotify. Leave a review. We'd love to see what you think about this podcast. Of course, if you have any feedback, you can go ahead and email thedailythread@meaningfulminute.org. That's thedailythread@meaningfulminute.org. We'd love to see your feedback. And we'll be back at you with another episode pretty soon. Have a great day.